Well, hey, everybody, it is Melanie Mitro, the host of The Melanie Mitro Show, and welcome back to a new episode. I hope you are having a phenomenal start to your weekend. I'm so grateful that you are here. We are coming down the home stretch of 2025, and today we're going to talk about how to transform your life. And really, this topic of conversation comes from 14 years of experience in the industry and watching so many women come through the doors of my business who proclaim that they are going to build a business, they are going to change their lives, they are going to live debt free, and they're going to be the top business builder on my team. And I've watched people come in and out. Some people stay and rise to the top. Some people reach a certain level and really cap out there and they just sort of hang out. And then some people really never get their footing. They can't seem to get in a rhythm and a flow of the business. And I've really taken note of what are the characteristics of people that succeed and what are the characteristics of the people that are stuck. And we're going to talk about that today. And I'm going to share some personal experiences with you about what my journey looked like to building a multi-million-dollar direct sales team and building a multi-million-dollar consulting company. And then stepping back into the field in 2025 to build a network marketing team again. And so I've been on this journey for a while, and I can tell you that I have a lot of different perspectives, a lot of experience over the years, and I know that it can be challenging to build a business and to not see what your time and energy is going to produce on the other side, but needing to have faith in the process, to trust the process, and to trust yourself along the way. So we're going to talk about that today. So what are the foundational principles that can help you transform your life? Whether you want to change your body and the way that you look, you want to build a business and create a different career for yourself, you want a new relationship, whatever it is, these principles, these 5 points that I'm going to share with you today is really where it's at. This is what I see is the difference maker between the people that win and the people that just sort of stay the same and don't make a change and really spend their whole lives wishing that they could create transition. Okay, the first one I want to talk about is something that's a little, it's not what you're going to expect me to say, but I really believe in this one, okay? The first principle to changing your life is actually positivity. Now, not toxic positivity, not rose-colored glasses, and I never think that anything bad can happen, but positivity. And if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm going to hold up a book right now that I have read multiple times, and it's called The 4-8 Principle by Tommy Newberry. It is a Christian book, and I'm reading it a second time right now, and there's also a really good daily devotional, The 4-8 Principle. It's a daily devotional that you can read. But positivity, let me talk about that because I was born with a positive attitude. I was born that way, and I was also raised by two parents who always looked at the bright side. And there was always this, as I was growing up as a child, there was always this like figure it out attitude. We'll figure it out. Everything will be okay. And so, I never really, I always thought to myself, like, I'll figure it out. And even as I was growing up and wanting to pursue different interests as an adolescent, one of those things being I wanted to be a dancer, I wanted to be a cheerleader. And even though my family could not afford to sign me up for dance lessons when I was a little girl, they could afford to sign me up for dance lessons when I was a 9th grader. And so never once in my mind did I say, oh, I've missed the boat. If I haven't started dancing by now, why bother? So I signed up for dance. I took dance lessons and I loved it. And then I also started to pursue cheerleading. And so I signed up for a cheerleading squad in in high school, in my sophomore year of high school, and did competitive cheerleading. I would never cheered before. I'd maybe gone to some camps. I'd maybe done some things in the backyard by myself, but I was not somebody that had been cheering my whole life. And I tell you this story because a lot of people may say, we're not even going to sign our kids up in high school because they're behind. They've missed out. They've kind of missed the boat on things. Like they're not going to make it. And for me, my parents were like, you can have anything you want if you're willing to work hard at it. And that just became cemented into who I am as a human being. And so when I decided that I wanted to go from competitive cheerleading to the high school cheerleading squad, and there were only X amount of spots that were going to be filled, I showed up with that same mindset. That mindset of, I can have anything that I want. My parents weren't sitting there saying to me, oh, Melanie, they're only taking 12 girls and you haven't cheered your whole life and these girls have been cheering their whole life. I don't think you're going to make it. I'm not sure if you should do that. Maybe you should join a club where they accept everybody. No, my parents did not flood with negativity. They didn't look at the glass as half empty. They looked at the glass as half full, and they encouraged me. They were honest with me about, Melanie, you can have whatever you want, but you're going to have to work at it. And so they instilled this work ethic in me to where I knew I could have anything I wanted, but I was going to have to work at it. And so that work looked like going to tryouts and recording. Back in the day, you did the double cassette tape. So you dubbed your music on the other cassette tape. And then I would go home and practice for hours in my bedroom in front of my mirror. I wasn't out at Eaton Park getting, dinner and milkshakes with my friends. I wasn't watching Netflix. I was practicing because in my mind, I knew I was the underdog. I knew I was the one with the least amount of experience, and I had to practice if I wanted to get there. So I practiced my high V's. I practiced the routine until I was doing it in my sleep. I practiced my, round off back handsprings and my toe touches over and over in the backyard in front of the sliding glass door that I used as my mirror to make sure my toes were pointed and my hands were in the right place. And I went to that tryout that Saturday morning, nervous as all get out. I remember blacking out. I don't even remember doing the routine, but I had done it so many times that I just did it. My body just did it. And I wasn't number one on the team. I just made the cutoff. I just made it. But I made it over and above some of the people that had been cheering their whole life. Because I didn't take success for granted. I didn't think that it was just meant to be given to me. And I also had this positivity that I can have anything that I want if I'm willing to work hard for it. And there I was. I had worked hard and I had accomplished the goal. And so that carried on. That little win in my corner became the catalyst for other decisions in my life. And that positivity that I had is how I showed up in everything that I did. Everything is figure outable. If we want it bad enough, we can make it happen. If there's a bad situation, it's like, let's make the best of it. If I get bad news at work or I don't like a decision that corporate has made, okay, these are the cards that we've been dealt. How do we work with them? When I was first starting my business, it was really easy for me to look around at all these other people that were making money faster, had more time to work their business, had full-time babysitters, and to think, I'll never be successful. I'm a stay-at-home mom with 2 kids under the age of 3. I don't have a babysitter. I can't afford to get a babysitter. My husband works long hours and travels. He doesn't support my vision and my business. I don't even have somebody to help me in the evenings so I can do a little work when he gets home. It would have been really easy for me to say, look at what everybody else has and look at what I don't have. And I just remember saying to myself, okay, well, I'm not going to wait 5 years until my kids are in school to build my dreams. I'm going to miss valuable time. And it was like, what do I have? How do I work with the cards that I've been dealt? And so this positivity, this thinking of let me choose to focus on what I have control over. Let me choose to focus on the pockets of time that I do have to build the business. Let me choose to focus on how can I use, my glass half full as an opportunity to build my dream. And so every time I come across somebody who is negative, right? They're in my inbox. They're like, I've invited everybody. Nobody will say yes. I post on social media. Nobody's watching my stories, right? I invite people. They ignore me. Or, if somebody does that, I'm like, oh gosh, if they're constantly negative, constantly looking for reasons that it won't work, they will always find them. Those people don't win in this space. I am so aware of people that have a negative outlook, and I create space between them. Because in order to get from where you are to where you want to go, you have to have a positive outlook. You have to focus on what is good, what is true, what is honorable, what is right and pure and lovely and admirable. Think about these things that are excellent, that are worthy of praise. Philippians 4:8, I paraphrase that, but that is my focus. And that is the focus of the 4:8 principle is Philippians 4:8. It's focusing on what is good. And, I will catch myself maybe thinking about negative things, and I constantly go, hey, that's the devil trying to distract me from my God-given gifts and my God-given talents and where I'm called to go. And so if you want more out of life, you have to fix your attitude. And if you are chronically negative or chronically complaining, people don't want to be around that. You're not attracting more empowered people. You'll more than likely attract more complainers, and you'll deflect or reject away opportunity because people want to be around other people who are glass half full type. All right. That's the first one. So you can go snag the book, The 4:8 Principle. And like I said, this is now my second time reading it, and it's so good. Probably 20 times this week at the time I'm recording this podcast, I have used the 4:8 Principle to redirect my thoughts back to good and powerful and positive ones. Number 2, if you want to transform your life, self-integrity is a really big one. Self-integrity. We're always looking for, how do I stay more motivated? Or I need somebody to keep me motivated, or I'm just not disciplined, right? But it's like, instead of going and looking for other people to hold you accountable, have a little self-integrity. When I decided that I wanted to change my life, that I wanted to build my direct sales business, that I wanted more than just getting by, more than just arguing about the bills every single month. And I wanted more out of putting everything on a credit card and then stressing about paying it off. And so when I made that promise to myself, when I said yes to my first direct sales business, I put a stake in the ground and I said, I'm going to follow through with this. I made a promise to myself that I was going to prove the people around me wrong, that this business wasn't silly, that this business wasn't, it wasn't a joke, and that it wasn't, a scam. I wanted to show people that you could be successful in this industry. And I made this promise to myself that I was going to see this through. And guess what happened? It didn't happen overnight. I was met with a crap ton of resistance from my family to close friends to people on the internet, people telling me that I was crazy to go after this, that only the people at the top are successful, and that nobody makes money in the online space. And for me, it was like, no, I believe in this. I believe in this. I'm not quitting. I'm not going to let your opinions dictate my actions. I needed to make that promise to myself. And I did. And there were days where I would look at my paychecks. There were months that I would look at the hours that I invested and think, I am working so much and I'm literally making 1 cent an hour. But I believed that if I really stuck it out, and I continued to grow and challenge myself and get better at conversations and inviting and social media and connection and customer service, I believed that if I really committed to not just being good at my job, but to being world-class, excellent, high performing, I would eventually get there. And so I showed up all the time. I kept that promise to myself. That's so important. Last weekend, I took my son to Florida for a golf tournament. And there's like this whole Mitro argument happening right now where my oldest has played baseball, he's played soccer, he's done lacrosse, basketball, and now he's a golfer. He's starting to do a lot more golfing over the last 5 years. And I really thought golf or basketball was just going to be his passion. Well, he is on the fence about whether or not he wants to play basketball this year. And we've gone back and forth with basketball because he just wants to put all of his time and effort into golf. And we gave him an opportunity to say, hey, I'm hanging up my hat. I'm not going to do this. But my brother or my dad actually said to him, Landon, I think you should play one more year because I don't want you to regret leaving basketball too soon because you're good at it. And, I think you should give it one more year. And so he made his own decision. He actually said, I want to play. I want to give it one more year. Well, there was a situation where he had to make a decision between the commitment he made to basketball and golf. And he wanted to choose golf, even though it's not in season. The high school golf season is over, right? Basketball season is starting. That's where his focus needs to be right now. And golf kind of takes a little bit of the backseat. We have to shuffle that around. And he had a massive meltdown, said, I don't want to play basketball. I'm not doing it. I'm quitting. And as my son and I were driving to the airport last weekend, I was talking to him about self-integrity. And I said, Landon, you made the promise. You made the commitment that you were going to play basketball. Now the season has started and we are not quitters. We are not people that when the road gets a little rough or a better opportunity comes along, that we just say, that's it, abandon ship. Let me go with what feels good. And I said, you made the decision. He goes, Mom, I don't want to do it. I'm like, but you had an opportunity to back out, to say, I don't want to do it. I said, but the minute you signed that paper, the minute you made that commitment, you're committed for the season. And even when it doesn't feel good, and even when you don't want to do it, it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do. You have to see your commitment through to the end. And I said, and you've got to see the commitment through to the end with a good attitude, because nobody wants to spend the whole basketball season with you with a bad attitude. You're going to sit the bench and it's going to be miserable and you're going to make it miserable for all of us. And I said, you have to own your decision. Your dad and I did not make you say yes to playing basketball. You did. And now you have to have the self-integrity to see it through, to keep the promise you made with a good attitude. And I said, my mom and dad, your Grammy and Pappy, that's how they raised us. We were not quitters. We don't quit. I said, there was a time when I was playing softball and I loathed it. My parents made me go. They made me play the whole entire season. And at the end of the season, I was like, that's great. I don't ever want to do that again. I did the same thing with acting. I did a little stint in a play in church and I was really good at it, but I hated it and I didn't want to do it. And I had a horrible anxiety over it. And when that play was over, I said to my mom, done. I did my commitment, but I don't ever want to do it again. You see, following through, even on little things, that's how self-trust is built. It's one promise at a time that you keep to yourself. And if I would have been a quitter, I would not have all of these life lessons to be able to share with you today. Number three, actually, discipline. Discipline is a devotion, right? Not a lot of people have discipline to say, what would my future self, right? If my future self would do, even if she doesn't feel like it. Discipline is how you close the gap between wishing for a life and living it. Discipline is one of those things that I look for in people. It's like when you say that you are going to do something, It is, hey, I'm tired. I didn't get a good night's sleep, but I promised you I'd be there for that 6 a.m. workout class. I will be there. I will be there. It's knowing that these are the things I need to do. It's the income producing activities. And when I'm working with somebody in the direct sales space and I'm like, you have got to do your income producing activities consistently. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that discipline. I'm looking for that person that they find the time. They're in the pickup line and they're sending 5 messages. They're, waiting for their kids to get out of dance lessons and they're posting their social media post. They are reaching out, when they're after dinner and when they're just kind of sitting there chilling on the couch and they're doing their new connections with other people. It's a devotion. It's a devotion. It's knowing that what I do today is going to build the habits for tomorrow. I'll never forget, it was about a year and a half into my direct sales business, and I was working really, really hard to get to this leadership rank so I could earn this retreat, this trip. And I worked right up until the clock struck midnight on the last possible moment that I could hit this goal, and I fell short of the goal. And I had done everything in my power to get there. It was out of my control. I needed people on my team to do certain things. And so, I woke up the next morning. I had a really good cry session, really good cry session. I was so mad. I thought I deserved to be there. There were people that achieved it that I thought I, had done a better job than they did and I should be there, right? And then I had this moment where I reminded myself, Melanie, you are exactly where you're supposed to be right now. And what are you going to do now? What are you going to do next? And so I sat there and I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I am going to keep going. I know that this is where I'm supposed to be and I'm here for a reason and I'm learning this lesson. And so I decided that while everybody else was partying on this trip, or while other people were sleeping in on the weekends, I was going to have this next level of discipline. I was going to show up on Saturdays and Sundays, and I was going to send extra invites, and I was going to prep my week, and I was going to write my social media content, and I was going to do my follow-ups in customer service. I was going to have this discipline and devotion to what I wanted, even when I was met with resistance. And here's what happened. Because I missed a goal and then I popped right back in and said, okay, I'm still disciplined. We're still going. We might have had a little setback, but we don't stop doing the income producing activities, and we do them with energy and we do them with passion and we do them with excitement. In 4 months, not only did I hit my goals, but I surpassed every other goal that I had set for myself over that next 12 months. I went from being ranked 400 plus in the company to ending the following year as number 2 in the company because I was disciplined. I was showing up when other people were making excuses. It was how I closed the gap. It was knowing that my future self depended on me doing the actions that were not pretty. They weren't Insta-worthy. Right? They didn't deserve a spot on my grid because there was no makeup and a messy bun, and it was just gritty work. That's the discipline that's required to transform your life. The fourth one is commitment. When I think about commitment, I think about you can't half-ass your way to the next level of success. So many people tell me in intakes and onboarding calls or in monthly mentorship calls, I'm going to be your next top leader. I'm going to be the one that's earning that trip with you. I want to, people say that. They say a lot of things because words, they're free. They're easy. Anybody can speak words. I'm looking for the people that actually do what they say they're going to do. And a lot of times people will speak a goal without knowing what's required, without really knowing why that's the goal that they want to achieve, really knowing what the significance in it is, knowing what the work is required to get there. And so people just throw out goals like confetti. And we have to make sure that if we're going to make a commitment, if we're going to speak the words, if we're going to raise our hand and say, you can count on me, then we got to go 100%. We have to fully commit to our next level. Fully committing means you're committing mentally, emotionally, and physically. Being committed to your vision is your way of being. You actually show up differently. So, before you tell your business leader or mentor or success partner what your goals are, I want you to ask yourself, am I fully committed? Do I know what is required of me in order to get to those goals? Do I know what that rank or number actually means? Am I willing to do the work in order to get there? Is that aligned with the way that I want to do business? Being fully committed and fully understanding what it is that is required of you is how you're going to get there. So I want you to take a moment and go, what are the goals that you're writing down on your time blocker, in your planner every single week? Am I fully committed to that? Because when I look at my goals, I say, okay, my goal for this week, for example, $10,000 in sales. Am I fully committed? Yeah. Am I emotionally connected? Am I mentally connected? Am I physically connected? Yes. Here's why. Because I know that that's a realistic push for me. I know I've got an event that's happening, and I know I've got this huge guest list, and I have the time in my schedule to remind those people, to do good customer service, to follow up with them, to make sure that I'm checking in with people. Like, I have the commitment locked in. I know what it means to me and my family. I know that that means additional income for investments or to pay for the next trip that we have to take for my son's, golf vision for life, right? Which is so stinking expensive, right? Like sports and kids and letting them pursue their dreams. Like, yes, I will work harder so my kids get to do the things that they want to do. But are you fully committed? If I were to look at your calendar, would it actually be reflective of what you want? I think many of you are speaking goals, but you have no intention of following through. You think it's just what your business leader wants to hear. It's what the other people in the group chat are talking about, but you've no real emotional connection to it. You don't really know why you're doing it. Sometimes this means that we got to gut check ourselves. We got to have that gut check to make sure we're fully locked in and we're committed to next level success. And the last one. Oh, I feel like this one is like so important. It's self-awareness. I see so many people who sabotage themselves. They sabotage their success and they don't even know they're doing it. They have no idea that they're doing it. Or they actually do know that they're sabotaging their success, but they're living in those lies as truth because it's more comfortable to just live in this is how I am. I'm a squirrel. I've got ADD, right? I never follow through. Like, it's easier to do that than it is to really call yourself out and bring awareness and create change. If I look at people that transform their lives, the people that are self-aware go further faster. So do you realize in real time when you're shrinking, self-sabotaging, when you're spiraling, and choosing differently right there? I'm going to give you an example. It's a small example, but this actually happened to me yesterday. I sat down and I needed to do a task that I didn't necessarily want to do. I was getting ready to create some social media content. And all of a sudden I thought to myself, oh, I really need to order those things off of Amazon. And oh, I need to go remember to sign up for my workout classes next week. And then I stopped myself and I said, Melanie, do the social media post. Then you can go get your wallet and buy those things off of Amazon. I was going to avoid it. I was going to make myself busy because I didn't really want to do the post right now. So let me go order those things on Amazon. Let me go schedule that class. And then before you know it, 20 minutes goes by and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm avoiding the post. And why am I avoiding it? Oh, because the last 5 that I did flopped, or nobody watches my stories, or it's the same 3 people, or nobody responds to me. Boom. Self-awareness. I caught myself in the moment and said, Melanie, do the work, then do the other stuff. So if you find yourself doing that, you find yourself scrolling on social media when you went in to post your stories, self-awareness. If you know you keep defaulting back to sales, but you really want to build a team, self-awareness, make a change. Don't just say, I always fall back into sales, or I never hit my sales goals, so I can never recruit. Well, then what are we going to do about it? Move your sales day up. Stop hitting your sales goals on the last day of the month. Hit it on the 15th of the month or the 20th, so that at least you've got a week to focus on your team building. Friends, it's so important that we are aware of our choices, because success is actually nobody else's responsibility but you. And I know many of you that want to change your life are giving that away. You're giving that to other people, and we've got to take it back. We have to take it back. That it comes back to the whole thing of positivity, right? If you're looking at the glass as half empty, you're deflecting. You're like, it's not me, it's my circumstances. You're not taking ownership, right? You're not keeping promises to yourself. You're letting yourself off the hook. And friends, I know that many of you, maybe you didn't grow up with parents like I did, that taught me the glass is half full, that said you have to follow through with your commitments, that you can have anything that you want if you're willing to work hard at it, right? I get it. And I wasn't naturally born with this skill set of marketing and leadership and public speaking, but I had a vision for something more. I was willing to do the work, and I made a commitment to myself that I was going to see it through. And anything that I've ever walked away from, anything that I've ever quit or have decided that I'm not going to continue, it was because I saw it through first. I saw the commitment through. There was a knowing that it was time to move on. So many people just are on to the next, or the next quick fix, or the next quick fad, or where can I make the next quick buck? And people have lost their ability to make a commitment and see it through. And that's where real success happens. It's not from a viral post. It's not because it's a new product to the market. It's not because you got in early, or you look a certain way, or you're naturally charismatic. Sure, those things are helpful, but I know a lot of naturally charismatic people. I know people with really big followings that don't make a lot of money or have successful businesses because they do not follow these foundational principles. So maybe this was the gut check that you needed to hear right now, because I don't want you to keep repeating the same cycle year after year after year. It is time for you to say, I am ready to make a change. And whatever it is that you're building or working on, it might be your own physical health. Maybe you just are lacking this self or integrity. You just keep breaking promises to yourself. You're not disciplined in your nutrition or your fitness, and you're frustrated because the results aren't lying, that you are all over the place. Whatever it might be, let's dial it in. Let's get really clear on where we want to go, who we want to be, and what we want to do in this next season. Because if you can dial this in, you're going to change your life. And I'm going to cheer you on in the front row, because I know what is possible for you. And I know that you were put here on this earth for a purpose, to make an impact, whether it's on a small scale or a large scale. I know that you are worthy of your goals, but it starts on the inside and making those changes. Are you ready? Because I'm ready. I'm ready for you. I'm going to give you one more book recommendation. Brianna Wiest is an author who wrote the book, The Mountain Is You. Great book. If you struggle with self-awareness, read that book. If you have a lot of self-defeating thoughts and confidence is really lacking, Winning the War in Your Mind by Craig Groeschel is another great book to read. Immerse yourself in personal development that helps you in the weak spots, not just the feel-good personal development, not just the things that are kind of fluffy, but like, what are the areas of your life that you need to work on? Let's really dive into that right now in this season, because this is the season of self-reflection. It's the season where we are deciding what that next level of us is going to look like. All right, friends, it's time to lock it in. It's time to lock it in and create those habits, because the things you do today is going to be the business that you have 90 days from now. And we're not waiting to the new year. We are starting right now. All right, friends, thank you so much for listening to the Melanie Mitro Show this week. Do me a huge favor. Take a screenshot, tag me at the Melanie Mitro Show. Let me know you listened. I've got a new Instagram, so in case you aren't following along, make sure you go over to Instagram, find the Melanie Mitro Show, hit follow there, send me a DM. Let me know how long you've been a listener. Tag me in the show as you're listening. I want to hear from you guys. And I just want to say, as always, thank you so much for being loyal listeners. I'm so grateful to have you here, and I will see you back here for another episode next week.